Hi Unique BeauTs, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, I am Trish. Typically I do beauty, I do fashion, I do all types of different videos, I feel like, including health, because like between my husband and I, we definitely have been through it. So I just want to like be able to help others, and if they're struggling, even though we're not professionals in the medical field, we've been through it. And so it's more of like a thing like where it's like we've been through it, we're not professionals, we kind of know like not necessarily like everyone's going to experience the same type of scenario, but we do know like what we experienced and can share that with you, and that's why I'm doing this video. So that leads me to that. So first, if you could like the video, please subscribe if you're not subscribed, and then also to leave a comment if you don't mind. So all that stuff helps me out, as a YouTuber trying to grow. So thank you, I really appreciate you. Going forward, in today's video, I wanted to share with you guys about Dee's journey, like his experience for this past like 10 days. Like we've been going through a nightmare, like we've been through it, and I can only imagine like how he feels. So I'm gonna share things with you, and again, I'm not a medical professional, neither is Dee. He is okay with me sharing with you guys. He said, I can say like whatever I want about what happened to him, and he's cool with it. So I wrote notes. I have things written down because there's just so much. Without further ado, I am gonna tell you first. Desmond is okay. Dee is totally fine. He is just in a lot of pain currently right now, and he's still at the hospital. It's considered day 1, so we'll get into all of that in just a second, a few minutes actually. But first up, I'm gonna say, so he's scheduled, Dee had went to his primary doctor because he had this weird feeling in his chest. Like it felt like when he was mowing the grass, like it felt like when he breathed in, it was like cold air, and then his right arm would do something weird, like not tingle, not necessarily hurt, like, but just felt uncomfortable, kind of like when you have restless leg syndrome, you feel like you gotta keep moving it. It was like that. And then, so he went to his primary because it was just like, he was done, like over it, and he's always exhausted at that point, like always tired, can't do anything really ever. So, and he's very hands-on and very active actually, and he wasn't like for a few months actually at that point, like other than working, and that was it. So anyway, he goes to his primary doctor. His primary wants him to do like a stress test, and they did an IV stress test, and then it came back that he wasn't getting oxygen to his heart. And then with no time wasted, his primary set him up with a cardiologist. Like they contacted the cardiologist and got everything going for him. And so he got in like right away, and they wanted to do, his cardiologist wanted to do a cath where they go into one of his main arteries in his arm and sneak up like through like this part, like they go up through and all the way up to like your heart, and just kind of like look and see, okay, what's going on, what's causing this delay in oxygen, like no oxygen type thing. And the surgeon, because he is considered like a doctor, surgeon, cardiologist, and he was honest with me because only Dee met him in the office because I was working, and so I didn't have the chance to like really meet him. But anyway, he came and got me, and he was honest. He's like, what I found was not what I expected. It's way much more serious. Your husband has 4 clogged arteries, 2 being at 100%, the other 2 98%, maybe like a little less, kind of hard to say. And his heart's really weak. It's functioning well, it was functioning between 25% and 45%. And that's not good. That means like he has coronary disease at that point. He was diagnosed with, and now it's like hard for me to talk about like getting anxiety, even though he's okay now. He said he wanted to have D go to his partner and get a quadruple bypass. So it was a lot to process. It's a very scary thing to hear. I could only imagine what D had felt. He doesn't do very well in medical settings as is, and to be told that, it was just so emotional and heartbreaking. We were scared. We didn't know what to do. And, you know, I just pray like at that point and reach out and try to find people that have been through this. And we did that. And so we ended up going to this other surgeon, and, you know, well, D went. I never met the surgeon, like, again, because I had to work. And they scheduled it, and they let him schedule it like later, because like we found out, and it was like the surgery, when they scheduled it for August 23rd, and it was before I even had my hysterectomy on August 5th that we knew he needed this quadruple bypass. That right there is like, I'll get into that in a minute. But so he let him wait until the 23rd. Fast forward to the 23rd, he's in the operating room. We go through like, you know, we go through this whole emotional like experience, you know, together, like them rolling him to the back, and just, it was so surreal. Like, it didn't seem real. Like, it was to us, it wasn't like happening. And then when they wheeled him away, like I cried, like lost it. But anyway, like besides all that, fast forward to, because the nurses said they would come out and give me updates. Well, he went back at 8, and then the nurse came about 9 o'clock, and she's like, you know, we just got him prepped. He's doing okay. He's doing good. You know, the surgery is actually about to start now, and I'll come out, you know, around 11-ish a.m. so you know, like, what's going on, because they keep you updated there. Around like 10:40-ish, I want to say, the surgeon had came out, and I'm like, I couldn't talk. I like was catatonic. Like, I could not talk. I could not move. And then I took a deep breath and I said, well, deep as I could, and I was just like, okay. So I was like, and then the surgeon's just looking at me, and I'm like, okay. Like, my first thought was he passed away. Like, I didn't even know what I felt at that time, honestly. And he was just like, well, your husband, his oxygen is at 88, his blood oxygen, and when we put in the breathing tube, he kind of didn't respond to it. His blood oxygen remained 88, and it was supposed to go way, way, way up. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, what does this mean? When I'm in like a very serious situation, I can think quick. So that's like one good trait I have. So I knew, like, I remained calm even though I wasn't necessarily. And I asked all the questions I feel like that I should have asked. And, you know, because the surgeon, he was giving me pretty much, it's life and death. Like, if we proceed, he could or could not make it. Like, all these things, like, oh, we can transport him, but we gotta wake him up. All this stuff. We can transport to another hospital, though, that has like a thing, you know, to help with his breathing after the surgery, if he makes it through. So I'm like, if? What do you say at that point? Like, you don't even know. It's just, your whole world is just crashing down on you. Like, I love this man. And I'm like, okay, so what do I even do? And, you know, I started thinking, and, you know, of course, like, they're trying not to, like, give their input necessarily. They can tell you what they recommend, or, like, you know, what the outcome is. And the outcome was not good. It was like a 50-50 gamble. And I'm like, oh, hell no. I'm not fucking taking chances. I'm just not. My husband's not a casino. Okay, we don't have a 50-50. We either have like at least an 80% chance or we're not doing it. And so anyway, I said, if it's his lungs then, because if he's not getting oxygen, we need to stop. And I need you to talk to that surgeon out in Royal Oak and kind of like, since he is experiencing certain things, like talk to him, ask him what his thoughts are. So he did, comes back to me. He said that the surgeon had agreed. And so they're going to go ahead and wake D up and, you know, find out what's going on with his lungs. Fast forward, he's in the ICU and they were playing dumb. Like there's so much more, like there's like little factors that go into all this too, but they played dumb. They had like the wrong reader on him, but so anyway, they said, okay, we gotta figure out what's going on with your lungs. Even though D has never had any history of anything ever being wrong with his lungs. This guy does not drink, he does not smoke, he does not do drugs. He's a good, in a good way, he's a very boring man. In that aspect, I wouldn't say like boring because it's really good, like that he's that way, but it's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, my husband does nothing, and they're like, oh, are you sure he doesn't vape? Are you sure, like, you know, this and that? And I'm like, I am fucking sure. I didn't say it like that, but I was just like, yeah, I am sure that my husband does not do anything. Like I'm positive. It's not like he does things behind my back. This man does not like to not feel like himself. If he does not feel like he's in his right state of mind, he is not happy. He does not like that shit. Going forward from that, so they woke him up, like I said, and he was so devastated because like he felt his thing, like he felt like, because they tell you to be prepared to be restrained and you're not, and it was just like, he knew he wasn't restrained, and then I come in, I had to explain everything to him and myself and try to keep my shit together. And but yeah, so they were pretty much, oh, you need to take a sleep study test, you need to do this, you need to do that, we need to find out what's going on with your lungs. And they did a CT scan of his lungs, a CAT scan of his lungs, and I'm like, everything's coming back normal. I'm like, because he has nothing wrong. But anyway, we decided ultimately, because they ended up discharging him, letting him go home. And this was on the 23rd. So it was that Friday on August 27th. He started late at night, like having chest pain. And I told him, like, D, it's probably indigestion. Like, just try to calm down. You know, you're okay. Like, you know, I'm really good at calming him down. And so I couldn't get him to calm down because he knew something was going on with his heart. Like, you know, in the long run, like, even though they were trying to tell him, like, it was a mixture of his heart and his lungs. And so his blood pressure skyrocketed. Like, it went up, like, really high. And mind you, it's under control with, you know, medication. So I'm like, okay, even with medication, it was this whole thing. So I ended up, because after we talked to, like, a few friends and stuff, they all recommended we go to U of M, which is a hospital. I'm not even going to say, like, where we were going. So that's, I mean, some of you know, but I'm not even gonna say that now. And we ended up going to U of M, which is a very well-known hospital. People drive like hours, people fly out here to go there, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just a really good healthcare system. So we went there to the ER, I took him there, and they wanted to admit him, even though it was indigestion. They weren't playing around. They were just like, you know, we look at all your medical history with this heart thing, and we really think that we should admit you and just kind of reassess things, you know, from the old hospital. So they admitted him and ran all these studies, like all these tests, just to make sure, like, you know, he's okay. Very thorough. And they even did theories and stuff. It was just so amazing. And the cardiologist was phenomenal. And so they told us that the other hospital that we had went to, first of all, should have never sent D home, even though D can be mean, like, in a hospital setting when he just wants to go home. And which is understandable, because at the other hospital, you know, they had already cut into, like, his arm, his leg, and they severed a nerve in his arm. Like, it was just really like a bad experience, very traumatic for him and I both. And so, but they were just like, they should have kept you, and if they felt like it was a long thing, they should have figured it out before you guys left. And we're like, oh, like, because we weren't educated at this old hospital. We were not educated enough to understand exactly what and exactly where the problem was coming in at, and like where his heart was pretty much dying. And so they were just like, you know, they explained it, and ultimately they decided to let him go home on Sunday night, even though they said that the old hospital shouldn't have discharged him. But I'm saying this because, again, he doesn't do well in medical settings. He was really high stressed, and they decided what was best for him is to do as outpatient, let him go home, be with the kids, be with me, like spend time. And Monday morning, like, well, they said Monday, a nurse would reach out to us and get things going. Well, Monday morning at 7 a.m. bright and early, sure enough, the nurse called, started getting things set up. And then the next day, which was August 31st, but on a Tuesday, they said, okay, we need to get you in. We need to do all like the pre-op testing again, even though the other hospital had already done it. We need to conduct our own and make sure everything is on point. And so they did just that. Again, they found nothing wrong with these lungs. And we also met with the surgeon, and the surgeon was just absolutely amazing. Described everything to us, had like a little actual, you know, fake little heart thing that like has all these like little gadgets that show you inside like what the heart is, and all the arteries, everything. And again, I don't remember the exact terminology, but we do have like a paper that says it all. And he showed us exactly what was going on with Desmond's heart. And that's when it hit me, like, even though he already had started once the process of everything, that's when it hit me, like, and I got so upset that they had sent D home, like at the old hospital. And so I'm like, damn, this is fucking real, like this is fucking serious, like, you know, at any time, like he can have a heart attack, have a stroke, whatever, and not make it or become it was this whole like thing in my head. And so I was like on edge. And so anyway, the surgeon said, we're not wasting any time, we're gonna do this on Friday, September 3rd. They did give us like options like Wednesday, Thursday, and then obviously Friday. And D said he wanted a couple more days with his family, like, you know, with the kids, you know, feeling like, you know, at least, you know, decent. And so he said it was okay, but he had all these restrictions. I had to make sure that he didn't do anything like at all. And if I noticed like he was having any of these symptoms like on this list, I had to take him right to the hospital, like call 911 and have them take him straight to U of M. And so we did the, not the 23rd, but we did the 3rd, and that Friday. So he had it done like bright and early. It went amazing. Like obviously it was like everything was like deja vu already, and it was like every day, like Dee and I didn't get rest, you know, for like this whole like week and a half. We didn't, like, we were just on edge. Like, I can't even describe it. It was like a dream. Everything was a dream to us, and it still is. Like, it's still surreal, even though it happened. We just like, this is so weird because this is so serious that it just doesn't seem like we're going through it, if that makes sense. And so the surgeon, they did the surgery, and the surgeon talked to me, and he was just like, during surgery, like his blood oxygen did actually go down. And how he described it is Dee's body kind of wanted to forego the oxygen per se, like that he wanted to be in charge of his own breathing, but he was able to proceed and made the best decisions that were going to have the best outcome. And so he educated me on why, and yeah, so he did this damn thing, like, you know, so he did it, and he made it through. And he did tell me, like the surgeon did tell me, you know, because of the oxygen dropping here and there, the same may happen when they're taking him off of the breathing tube. I'm like, okay. So I was prepared, which is like, before, like, no one told me shit. Like, I didn't know, even though like I have friends, you know, tell me like kind of like what to expect. You know, at the old hospital, I have no fucking idea. But here at U of M, like, I knew what to expect, when to expect. I was walked through everything, you know, if you have any questions, like that kind of thing. But I'm just rambling. And so it went amazing. I just don't know how to describe it. But anyway, so everything happens for a reason, I feel like, you know. And he, when they brought him out, like, finally, I didn't get to see him until like 6:30. Mind you, I've been there with Dia since like 5 a.m. and I just like wanted to get back there and see him, but they took phenomenal care of him. Like, they gave him like a bath before I seen him. They washed his face. They did like the suction thing, because like with the breathing tube down his throat, his tongue kind of sticks out. I'm gonna be trying to insert pictures if that's okay with him. I am gonna ask that, like, because there are some like pictures I did take, because he told me that he asked me to take pictures. And so when they first started taking him off the oxygen, which was the breathing tube, his body did start to try to take over, like, but in a panic. Like, his body was just like, he was trying to breathe like really fast. And so the breathing tube oxygen was just like breathing, but like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, it was double, like being, it was dangerous. So they put it back up, and then I ended up having to go home by 9:30 because, you know, the kids and stuff, and I didn't want my neighbors to have to keep, you know, an eye out for too long. So I went home, and then by the time I got home, like, the nurse said he was actually more alert. So I'm like, damn, I should have just stayed like a little bit longer, and I could have said, like, you know, hi at least. But anyway, it's besides the point. The breathing tube came out at 1:30 and in the morning, so 1:30 a.m. Then the nurse actually dialed my number 4D on her like little cell and held up the phone to his ear, and I got to talk to him. It was just so amazing. I'm like, ah. And I went, and that was all like actually today, like, as I'm telling you, like 4:30 this morning. And so I've been up ever since. And I went up there, seen him starting at 7 as soon as visiting hours could resume. And it was good, like, to see him, but he was in so much pain. Like, it was excruciating. I never personally experienced a person in that much pain, let alone a loved one, like, you know, going through it. Like, and he kept, like, you know, asking for me. The nurse said, like, on my way, like, walking, like, to, like, going to the building, the nurse was calling me, like, are you gonna be here exactly, like, at visiting hour time at 7? I'm like, yes, absolutely. Like, I'm actually walking in now. And she's like, yeah, because he keeps asking for you. He won't stop. And I'm like, okay, like, yeah, I'm here. And so I walk in. He's like, you know, he told me he loved me. And then he just kept starting to ask for the kids at that point. So I'm like, yeah, they can't come up because, you know, the whole, you know, pandemic thing and protocol. So yeah, so that's where we're at and things. Like, I know I didn't go into specifics of what everything means and, you know, exactly what a quadruple bypass is, you know, but they pretty much, well, they fixed the arteries completely that were blocked, and now he's gonna be able to survive. Oh, he's calling. Hold on. Yeah, so that was D. He just called. He is in pain. He went on another walk. It was his third walk for today, I believe. Yeah, it was his third walk, and he's walking really good. Even the nurses were like, wow, because you know he's young. They told us like the reason why he's having all this pain is because usually in older patients that do require this surgery, typically they don't have like the nerves that are in their chest and stuff like that are more, I don't want to be rude, but faded. Like they don't like act, they don't work as well. And you know, by D still being considered young, you know, his muscles and his chest, like all this stuff is trying, it's like tight, like, you know what I'm saying, it's like tighter and it's causing pain. And then like, you know, his artery, like his, you know, nerves in his chest are very well aware of what the fuck is going on. And so that's bad, like not bad, but like that's bad as far as like pain wise. And so that's what's going on with that situation with D. You know, overall he's doing well. That's why I wanted to update you guys, like his drain tubes, because there's 4 that like any fluid that was coming from like the heart, like and pumping into what would be his lungs is actually coming out, so that doesn't affect his lungs, and hopefully it'll prevent him from getting pneumonia, that kind of thing. And that's actually pretty much stopped. But as a precautionary, while he's in the ICU, they are going to pretty much just leave them in until tomorrow when he can go to the step down unit, is what they say, which is like over to like the main hospital, because like where he's at, it's like the cardiovascular center. And then they're gonna, you know, take him over there, and you know, he'll be able to like, you know, finish his recovery there. And we're hoping he comes home by Wednesday or Thursday. Until then, I have, you know, my neighbors watching out over us, and I have like, you know, just a really good support team here. And I have you guys, and it's just, I can't thank you guys enough for all your love and support. And you know, the last video I did talking about our health, and then, you know, just over on Instagram, like so many DMs, so many like people like just understanding, like you guys are understanding like why I'm not as active. And you know, because I like to, you know, like comment, save all your guys' stuff, and it's just like I haven't been, and you guys are very understanding. But so thank you. And with all that being said, if you guys have any questions, please leave them in, you know, the comment section, and I will answer. There's nothing that's off limits that's pertaining to what Dia went through. So if you're going through something like this, or you know, one of your loved ones, please know that I'm here if you have any questions. Again, I'm not like a medical professional or anything like that, but I'm here, like, and Dee's here too. So if, you know, you have a question, if you're like, you know, having the surgery, or someone, you know, like has a question that's having the surgery, like that's like this, please ask. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we are here for you guys. And I know it's a scary situation, and it's tough, it sucks, it's unfair, you know, like, but it's God's way of something, you know. And you know, God pulled D through, everything worked out. Now he is going to live a longer life. He is going to be able to have his energy back. You know, he's going to feel so much better by the time he comes home. And, you know, he's going to be able to teach our son football now. He's going to be able to be active with our kids. Like, all these things that he wanted to do that he couldn't do. And, you know, it's just, it's a blessing, even though what he had to go through wasn't necessarily a blessing. But you know, him having the surgery and it being successful is the blessing. And if I can help any of you guys with, you know, what you may be going through with this, if you guys are experiencing any heart issues, that's a blessing if I can help you guys. So maybe that could be one of the reasons why. So it's all like in a factor of things. And again, like, I'm just rambling at this point, but, and I know I left out details like in depth, because this video is, no, it's like a longer video, But, you know, I just wanted to explain the steps of everything we kind of like went through to get to this point. And, you know, D ultimately couldn't wait. He needed the surgery ASAP. He got it ASAP, and he's on his way to recovery. So we're celebrating that. We're so excited. And D, if you're watching, I love you so much, and I'm so proud of you. You know, you're my world. You're my everything. And I know the first time really scared you. It scared me and the kids, like, you know, but you did it, and you're recovering. And another thing actually too I left out, guys, is D didn't need a pacemaker, which is like a thing that goes into like your, like a little like cords that go into your heart to kind of like monitor things in your heart. Like his heart right away accepted it. Like his heart was beating so strong at that point. His heart is good now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Amen. Like, it's just amazing what God can do. And so yeah, he didn't need the pacemaker, and most people do, obviously after the surgery. So yeah, so wrapping it up, and I have this little top over here, and then lightening the load here. I have a little top here. It's from Francesca's. It's kind of like, I wanted to tell you guys, I'm going to be doing so much stuff hopefully for the fall. I have great plans for this channel, and you know, I hope you guys stay tuned. I plan on doing fashion, that kind of thing, and like fashion hauls, fashion try-ons, because I really am into that kind of stuff. And yeah, like beauty, you name it, healthcare, like whatever. So make sure you stay tuned. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on the bell notification. All right, guys, love you guys so much.